Hi everyone, Reverend Sarah from St. Paul's United in Paris. I hope that you're doing great this week. Just before we jump into reflection time, I want to bring you up to speed on a couple of things. So the first is our online silent auction has gone live. I made this announcement, but just making sure everybody knows, if you haven't had a chance to check out those items for bid, they are in the Facebook group for St. Paul's, or also Karen has been sending them out in the e-blast. So go ahead and check those out. We are doing this as a fundraiser for the church. We've been missing out on a lot of the things that we normally would have done during the pandemic. So this is our opportunity. Share the link and make sure you get those bids in. The second thing I want to let folks know about is on Thursday, February the 24th at 7 p.m., we are hosting a Black History Month presentation, and that is with Jordana Wright, who is a young woman of color in the United Church. She's been doing lots of great social justice activism over the last couple of years, and we look forward to hearing from her. It's going to be, like I said, on Zoom, 7 p.m. Thursday, February 24th, and we'll get those Zoom links sent out in the next couple of days. This is an event for everybody. It's not specific to St. Paul's United Church. This can be shared widely. We hope that lots of people will come to the table and hear that conversation and that story and the stories that Jordana has to share with us. The last thing before we jump into some reflection time is it has been a heavy couple of weeks around our pastoral charge. We have had a lot of funerals, which means I have done a lot of funerals. There's a lot of grief being held by people in our community, and our funeral directors in town here and people who work for our funeral homes are pretty burnt out. So just be gentle. If you know a funeral director or somebody who works for a funeral home, buy them a coffee, buy them a bottle of wine, whatever it is they might need. All of us need a little bit of grace and your prayers for a little bit of time to rejuvenate ourselves and get ourselves spiritually ready for the next big thing, which is the season of Lent. So announcements coming on the season of Lent to come next week. This past Sunday, we had Mr. Michael Schuberg join us for our guest preaching series, and he was talking to us about TB or TB. I think I pronounced it both ways when I was doing my monologue, and Michael pronounced it a different way from me when doing the monologue. I can't even remember anymore. But Tibby or TB is the mother-in-law of Peter, and it's based on just those two short verses, in Matthew's Gospel. And we don't have a whole lot to go on, but what was created by Betty Radford Turcotte is this character with a whole backstory about what led to this moment. And Michael got talking, interestingly enough, about backstories, and I thought it was a really fascinating topic. What brings us to a certain point in our personality, in who we are, in how we interact with people, in our career, in our education choices? What is the backstory? And I loved how he tied that into the Marvel universe. Lots of the stories and TV shows that we're seeing now are the backstories, either what happened to people once they're done fighting with the Avengers, for example, if it's the Marvel universe, or what went on to lead them to become the way that they are. We don't always know that. We always knew that about Spider-Man, but others, there's all these rich backstories that are being created and told in TV shows and shorts. And it's been really interesting. I'm a Star Wars fan, as a lot of you know. There's a lot of that happening in the Star Wars universe too, these origin stories or backstories about where people go after the movie's done and what happens in between the years and between movies, all that kind of stuff. So it's a really fascinating thing for me. And when I got thinking about this topic of backstories, the thing I want to talk about this week, or the question I want to ask you, is what's your backstory when it comes to church? What brought you to church? You know, I have a lot of conversations with people who come to the United Church because they're looking for something different than they experienced growing up in another denomination, or they've never been part of a denomination before and are wondering if following Jesus is right for them and sort of find the United Church aligns with their values. I'm wondering what it is that brought you to the United Church, or maybe why is it that you've left and don't attend church on a Sunday morning anymore? I know that's a pretty big question and can be a pretty loaded question, but there's a backstory to that. And there's a reason why we do the things that we do, whether that's going to church or not going to church, taking part in things, not taking part in things. And so I'm curious. I'd love to know backstories. That's the question of the week. That's the topic of the week. I hope to hear from you about them. And wherever you are this week, I hope that you're safe. I hope you're well. and I hope I get to see you soon. We'll talk to you later, friends.